carry no fear. I do my homework, so I'm always prepared. I'm a genuine person, so I'll always will share. Except when it comes to my Doritos, don't dare.
Good morning. Learn to convert fractions to decimals, you will.
Good morning. Today you're going to be learning to convert fractions to decimals, and look what Yoda is holding in his hands. He's holding a calculator, well, my iPhone, and with every phone or device you can download a calculator, and that's what you're going to need to do today to complete today's assignment. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be learning to convert fractions like this, or like these, to decimals. And you're going to need to do that so that you're going to be able to compare them today. So let me set this up. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the first one, 1/4 here, or 1/4. So I've taught this before during the year because I wanted you guys to be able to calculate your percentages whenever you got an assignment back from me or a test back, and you just wanted to see how you did. So what you would do with 1/4 is you would take out your calculator, and whenever you want to find out a decimal, you want to take the numerator and you want to divide it by the denominator, and that's going to give you a decimal. So if you take 1 divided by 4 and you hit equals, you're going to get 0.25. Okay, so that is the decimal, 0.25. Click 0.25. Okay, so 0.25 is the decimal equivalent of 1/4 or 1/4. In a similar way, you can calculate 3/5. So what you would do is you would go to your calculator and you would punch in 3 and you would divide that by 5, and then you would get 0.6. So let me get in here, 0.6. Now, what I like to do is I like to add another 0 there because that comes in handy when you're trying to compare decimals later. Okay, a calculator will only show up as 0.6 or 6/10, but you want to make everything out of 100, so out of hundredths. So what we're doing here, whenever you type in a number and you get it to a tenth, and there's no number after the tenth, so in the hundredths column, just add a 0, and that makes it easier to compare. So if we had to compare these two fractions here, you would see that 3/5, because it's 0.60, is greater than 1/4, 0.25. Okay, and sometimes people get confused because they might say, okay, 0.6, that's only 6%, but really it's 60%. So if you got 3 out of 5 on a test, you would get 60% on a test, whereas 1 out of 4, you would get 25% on a test. Now, let's look at a mixed number here. So what if you have 2 2/8? How are you going to calculate a decimal for that? And it's easier than you think. So because the 2 is a whole number, you would put that in the ones column. So you would have 2 decimal because you would have 2 wholes here, and here's your fraction. So anything to the left of the decimal is considered a whole, anything to the right of the decimal is considered a fraction. Now what you would do is, because you have that 2 here, you would now have to calculate the remaining decimal. So because it's 2/8, you would type in 2 divided by 8 equals 0.25. So you would add that 0.25 to your fraction. So 2 2/8 as a fraction, as a decimal is 2.25. Now let's do it for this one. Because we have 1 here, that's going to be your whole of your mixed number. We already know that that's going to be 1, and then you add a decimal. Now you have the 7/8, so you do 7 divided by 8. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to punch in 7, and I'm going to divide it by 8. And I hit equals. Now, notice how it has 0.875. You don't have to write out the complete number there. What you can simply write is 0.88. You can round that 7 to an 8 because that 5 increases this number by 1. If you want to just leave it as 0.87, that's fine as well. You don't really have to round in grade 5. So, but I'm going to do it anyways, because we've done this before. We've rounded to tenths and hundreds before. So this 1 7/8 as a decimal. Here's your 1 whole, and then I'm just going to add the 2 digits after the decimal here. So the decimal 88. So decimal 88. So 1 7/8 equals, as a decimal, the decimal equivalent is 1.88. Now, what if I had to arrange all of these fractions from greatest to least? Okay, so the greatest one here is 2.25 because there's 2 wholes, okay? The next one would be this 1.88. As long as you can see that, or if you notice that there is a whole, which means a number to the left of the decimal, you start with those ones first because these ones don't have a whole. So they're much less. They're a fraction. They're a part of a whole. So this is the first one. This is the second one. In third place, we have 3/5 at 0.60. And then the last and least is 0.25. So 1/4 is the lowest, or the least fraction, or the lowest fraction here. Okay, so that's this should help you out with today's assignment. And it's going to all be about, or the assignment today is going to be about converting fractions to decimals and rearranging some of them in order from least to greatest, or greatest to least. All right, have fun.
Do the work you will.
Another icon beat. Mr. G's class, online learning, school closure. Let's go.